there is an assumption if you're good at the thing, if you're good at fixing cars, if you're good at sales, if you're good at making candles, I don't know, whatever, right? Like that, then you're inevitably going to be good at the next role, which is leadership. And those things do not
They don't always
equate.
translate.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Medeiros.
And I'm Colleen Hungerford. And this is We're Doing This Right, right? A podcast for the whole woman, mind, body, soul, and business.
It's humor infused, as real as it gets, inspiring, and you'll walk away with real usable tools for life and business.
If you love what you're hearing, please share with a friend, subscribe so you'll never miss an episode, and rate and review whenever you listen.
So find your earbuds, lace up your walking shoes, or cozy up with a beverage of your choice. It's time to dig in.
Hello, friend.
Hello. How are you doing it right?
I feel like you're doing your lips really right. And mine just blended
Thank
with my
you. I
skin.
actually just put on this Il Maquillage. I get their foundation and they send you free stuff every time, which I should just stop getting their foundation because I don't really wear foundation, but I do like their concealer. Anyway, it's a really nice color and I could tell you what it was called, but I can't read it because I'm getting old and I don't have glasses with me.
Well,
So-
while it looks fabulous on you, I would look like a clown in it because my skin tone is so
No,
different than yours. I need a
that's
little
probably
something.
true.
I need a little mild. Actually, I'll
This
put
is
a little
like
mild something on.
actually it's called Rave. It's super sheer lip color. It's actually kind of really pretty. It's like a raspberry-ish, light
It's so pretty.
raspberry-ish color.
I'm here for it.
Thanks.
I approve.
Thanks. Oh, good. Well, everyone should go to YouTube and see it. And then maybe Il Maquillage will sponsor us. Always going for this spot.
I think I have a free, maybe I paid for it, merit. To Giselle. Shout out to Giselle Flores in Tampa.
Oh, Tampa. Mm-hmm.
And she does like makeup tutorials for our mom's real estate group sometimes. And she's changed my life.
She's so gorgeous too. My God.
Stunning. A smoke show.
She's such a smoke show.
Mm-hmm. And she's showing up on social media a lot right now. I highly recommend her. Everybody go look.
Yeah. And she's rebranding her team. And I love it so much. I think they're called Soul Society, SOL, Soul.
Yeah. Love it.
Out of Tampa. So you guys should go check her out.
1000%. We are sponsored by Giselle Flores in Tampa today. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk.
Thank you for coming to our TED Talk. Okay. This is for the month of August. In the month of August, we are going to be talking about leadership, which whoop, whoop, leadership and confidence in leadership, if you will. And, we have a zero lack of confidence, but that doesn't mean that sometimes we don't feel certain ways, lack of confidence ways.
Or that we don't have things to learn to improve and to get better with our confidence and our confidence in leadership and our leadership. Mm-hmm.
And leadership is always changing. This is it's ever evolving.
Yes, as more research comes out, as we are dealing with new generations of people who have different priorities. So I was recently seeing something. Oh, Jessica Yakub, a parent coach and a young adult coach that's in the local InspireHER group here in San Luis Obispo, is talking about how it's, in every generation, there's the difference between like the grandparents will look at the young kids and be like, those kids have no work ethic. And we're like seeing that with the Gen Z and Gen X and like what the opinion that people have on that. And what she says is that it's not that this generation doesn't have work ethic. It's that this generation's priorities are different than that generation. So it may look different. Mm-hmm. The work ethic looks different, all the things.
Well, yeah, it's like how boomers will talk about how millennials, first of all, we'll talk about how millennials were like losers and didn't buy homes and aren't having kids and X, Y,
spending
and
too
Z.
much money on avocado toast, and so
remember
homes.
When they were like burning us so hardcore? They're like, well, if you didn't buy $7 lattes and avocado toast, you could afford a home. And it's like, nah, bro. Like, first of all, we're the only generation in a long time that's had like a major like economic depression, a global pandemic, you know what I mean? Like all of these things. Anyway,
civil rights movement.
Everybody's experiencing things so differently. But I mean, I think when we were kind of pre-show talking about this, one of the things that I am experiencing as far as growth in leadership when I'm starting to build my team is this idea that when you kind of step up into a leadership role, you're no longer doing the thing that you're good at, right? Like you're no longer doing the real estating as much, right? Like that's just not like I'm still real estating. That's still happening for sure. But I'm now also mentoring, coaching, helping,
Em-
guiding, showing up in lots of
Empowering,
different
developing.
exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
and sometimes it feels hard to make that transition out of doing into leading. And I think we see this a lot, especially with like solopreneurs when they're trying to grow or small businesses when they're trying to grow, when you're used to doing everything yourself and then all of a sudden you don't have the capacity, literally, physically, time and space. So you need to add more people. But now what that means is you're no longer the one, like what we were talking about. You were talking about like the counter offer, right? That you guys are doing right now. Like you need to be teaching your team how to do the counter offer. It could take you 5 seconds to do the counter offer. You'd be like, beep, boop, 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 done, sent. But that doesn't empower your team. That doesn't help anybody learn. That doesn't help anything. So I think there's an interesting conversation to have about leadership and the challenges of leadership and leadership in growth, right? Like when you're kind of growing your business and expanding your business.
I want to say something that you reminded me of in your when you were introducing the topic. I think a lot about this with Alex. Like, oops, don't say their name. Beep. They promoted the they promoted the best mechanic into leadership.
Mm,
What he is skilled at, what he is trained at, what he has done for 15, 20 years is turning wrenches. They've
yeah,
promoted him into a position to lead with
right.
no training, no tactical knowledge of it. Like he has had
Mm-hmm.
to grow into that on his own. And it's just such an interesting thing where you're so good at this one thing, so you get promoted to this leadership role. But leadership is an entirely different skill set than the
Totally.
thing.
Totally different skill set. And I think that is where people struggle because there is an assumption if you're good at the thing, if you're good at fixing cars, if you're good at sales, if you're good at making candles, I don't know, whatever, right? Like that, then you're inevitably going to be good at the next role, which is leadership. And those things do not
They don't always
equate.
translate.
No,
Yep.
no. And this is also why you hear a lot of people say, like, if you can't do, teach, right? Or
Right.
like the best coaches
Those
are
who can't do teach.
right. And like the
Hmm.
best coaches aren't always the best players. And also the best players aren't a lot of times are not good coaches, right? And we see this in real estate a lot. A lot. High performing agents aren't always the best team leads. They're just
Hmm.
not.
Right.
But that's and that's okay.
I always think about, so I'm a very strong swimmer, and
Yeah.
just not that I didn't work at it, but I was just very naturally gifted in swimming.
Mhm.
So when somebody says, "Can you teach me how to swim?" I really can't. I can show
Right.
you how to get better, but I cannot teach you how to swim. I do not remember the foundation of it. I am too far gone.
Right.
So I can't even explain how. I don't know how to teach you to float even. Like my body just does it. I have no
You just
idea how
lay
to do it.
there.
I
Just
know,
get on your
but that
just lay
doesn't
there on your
work
back.
for everybody. That doesn't
I
work for
know.
everybody. And what's interesting about that too is, and this is something we should talk about in leadership, but just also it doesn't work for everybody. What works for Colleen, if I were to lead Colleen, what I do with her may not translate over here
Mhm.
to Jane and Sam and Bob. Like those people need different types of leadership because everybody's a different person.
I was just having this conversation earlier today with another team lead and I have new people on my team and I like to take new agents and help them grow and teach them. One, because I'm not that far off from being a new agent, right? I haven't been doing this for 20 years. I haven't even been doing this for 10 years. So
Mm-hmm.
it's still close to me, right? Like I remember what I
Mm-hmm.
was doing. But there's also just, you know, the intangibles, the things that you can't teach. I can't teach somebody else to be me. right? I can't teach somebody to pick up the phone and call somebody and just be normal, because that is not always inherent to people. Like, we've been doing a lot of coaching with one of our agents right now about, like, they're like, well, what do I say when I call this person? And I'm just, in my mind, I'm like, I don't know, just be normal, right? But you can't like, you can't just say that. Like, that's not helpful for them. So
Right.
it's and very, very early on, because I've also coached and I've also taught, right? Like, so there's a lot of this kind of stuff, but like, I have to figure out how that works for them, not how it works for me. I can tell
Right.
them what I did, but then they need to figure out how my job, and I firmly believe this as a leader, and I tell this to them all the time. My job is to help you become the best you, not make you me. Because
Right.
I can walk, just who I am and what I've gone through and my experiences, it's all different.
Right.
Everybody's different, right? You and I can walk into a room and we're similar. We can talk to anybody in that room and not care, or maybe care but do it anyway. Like, that's a lot of it, is like, this is what I got to do,
Right.
right? But somebody else might freeze, or somebody else might not even go, or somebody else might think so long about what they need to do to prepare that they never get there. And
Paralyzed by the perfection, the need to be perfect or whatever.
need to
Yeah,
know
just paralyzed.
yeah, need to know exactly how it's going to go, or practice every scenario. And that's fine if you have the time to do it and that makes you feel comfortable. But at some point, you got to get in the pool, right? Like, sometimes
Yeah.
you got to just jump in.
Mhm.
And it's a skill in leadership that, like, I think leaders can be taught. And I also think there are people that are inherently leaders. I think there are people that are, like, magnetic enough and understand enough about people and emotions and all of that, that they are very good leaders and supporters. But it is really tricky to make that jump, like your jump you're talking about with Alex, or like, I think about, my mom had a bakery, right? And she owned lots of businesses, but the jump from being able to turn over her, like, secret recipes or X, Y, and Z to somebody else so that she could lead, or, whatever it is, like, in real estate, it's like giving up your clients. Like, that's the
Mhm.
hardest thing for anybody to do. I hear this so many times. Well, they're my clients and I've worked with them for years and nobody can do better than me, and X, Y. And maybe not, but also maybe they can, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And you can never get the freedom, you can never get the time, you can never get the growth if you're not willing to give up a little bit there.
Yeah, because you can't do it all. Like, there's just not enough hours in the day. And most of us here, you guys, our family that we're talking to, we are high achieving. We're like trying, I would bet, to get to a position where you're trying to get your time back.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of like growing a team or building a
Mhm.
business, being an entrepreneur. You want to work for yourself. You want to have control of your own schedule. You want to be in control of how things are done. That's what draws us to the entrepreneurship and running our own thing. And
Right.
then, but then you want the time freedom that comes with having your own thing, which means then you have to hand this over to some people. And that,
Right.
yeah, super challenging. And I do
And
very much agree. The term natural born leader is there because some people are natural born leaders. But
mhm.
also, just because you were born a natural born leader doesn't translate to you having every skill, knowing
No.
every concept that might work. I consider myself a natural born leader, but I also am continuing to learn and grow into that role because it's important to me and also it's of interest to me. So like
Right.
where I could read 1,000 leadership books a year and be super entertained and literally be entertained by that. That's not work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, someone like Alex has been in this management role for 3 years now and is finally reading the first leadership book that was on his list because it's just
Yeah.
not as
But he didn't get to
he's
really choose it, right? Like, I mean, he did, but, like, he didn't walk in one day and say, like, "I want to be the boss." They
no
promoted him to that.
he promoted to that, but that was the goal. That was where he
Okay.
was moving
Okay.
and growing. But most of his learning, I'd say, in leadership has been trial and error, asking others in our life that are in leadership roles for advice and tips, which these are all acceptable ways to learn as well. Like just because
Sure.
I can sit down with an audiobook and play my stupid fruit merge game and retain a bunch of information doesn't mean that that's the way everybody learns, which is, again,
Right.
everybody is different.
Everybody's different.
It's also like, I can see that my 30-minute drive home is a great opportunity to listen to a book and learn and retain it. He needs that time to cool down and shut everything off and be quiet.
Right.
Where so like we're different humans, and
Sure.
we are going to get information in different ways at different speeds.
Yeah.
That is really the understanding that not everybody is going to work at your speed and your level as a leader is very, very hard. But also remembering that if those people had the speed and the processing capacity maybe that you do, they likely wouldn't be on your team. They'd be
Right.
leading.
Right. Well, and
So-
that is a very interesting point because, when, my Bob and my business is like basically my business partner, but my director of ops, when we're talking about who we're adding to the team, and we're like, wow, they're not really as go-getty as we want them to be, or this and that. But it's really like, if they were, then they wouldn't want to be
they
on the
wouldn't be
team.
here.
Or
Right.
they would be on the team for a very short period of time like I was, and then they'd leave. And that's fine too. Like, I also am very happy to be a landing place for somebody who wants growth, right? They want to come here and get some experience and then go. I don't want to. I think there's something in leadership to that as well, right? Like, you get to like produce a great product and then it goes out into the world and then you get to be proud of that. But that's tricky when you get into, like there's a lot of
Sales.
resentment in sales. Like, I trained you and now you're leaving me, and it gets really, that can get ugly.
Let's go back to, I'm sure I've said it on here before, but this was one of the things I picked up from the Compass retreat, was to train your team in a way where they could leave you, but then treat them in a way where they never would want to.
Right.
And so that probably is where you can retain some of that higher talent and that higher ambition, is to make their life so easy with what you provide them. And this is not just in a real estate team. Like, this is,
Any team.
Alex managing the dealership. He needs to train those guys so they can go out and stand on their own 2 feet, but then make them feel so appreciated and make their life so easy that they don't want to go entertain the offers from the competitors to come do the same thing for them.
Right.
Which is a very frequent thing that comes up in our house, because the pool for Alex's work is very limited. We live in a desert here in between LA and San Francisco, kind of small town USA. The top talent is very heavily recruited amongst the competition.
Yeah.
There's only so many people to choose from. So that's like been a very heavy emphasis of conversation, is what he can do with these guys to make them, guys and girls, currently it's all men on his team, but to make them want to stay when they get the offer that's like, hey, I'm going to throw ridiculous money at you, come on over. Alex recently got that proposal from someone who called him and was like, hey, we need a service manager. I'm willing to throw money at you to make this happen. And he's like, no, I'm super happy. And then he thought about it, and he is super happy. He thought about it and he called him back and he's like, what kind of money? And then, it wasn't enough. And like, even the conversation made him realize, like, that's not the culture I want. That's not the dynamic that I want in my workplace. And like, money doesn't solve problems. And if you're throwing money at me, it's probably because you're turning over a shitload of managers, and he knows that they are. But I mean, even like the most loyal employee may entertain that call, and they better know that the culture and what you're offering them at home, if you will, is enough to keep them there when that ridiculous amount of money is thrown at them. Or maybe it's not, and that's fine. And it wasn't meant to be, and we roll with those punches as well. But like, if you're leading from a place where, in the way that I am, where it's the train so that they could stand on their own 2 feet, but treat so that they never would want to, then yeah, making sure it's real sweet at home where they're.
Yeah. And what do you think that looks like, in a business? Like, when we were talking about like this new generation or whatever, and also, by the way, a lot of the people that work for us are also our age. So like same generation also, but also not. But I think there are different values that are important when you're talking about, like, it's not just about money, right? It's about what is
freedom,
what are
freedom
those?
of time, freedom of time, the pats on the back, like the being made to feel like you are of value and you're appreciated on the team. I think that's huge. The fun factor, I do think is a high priority. Nobody wants to come to work
Yeah,
and
you
feel
wanna
like,
like the people you work with. You wanna
yeah,
be like, "Yeah, I can't wait to go talk to my work bestie." Like,
yeah. And
that's a
then
thing.
know and care about their personal life. I think that is
Mhm.
a huge factor as well. Like, know that if John's daughter is sick this week, that he's going to probably be phoning it in and just doing bare minimum and like giving him that support and the okay to do that. Obviously, as a leader, that can't happen every week because then you've got
Sure.
a problem with somebody not pulling their weight on the team. But if you have the buy-in from the whole team to stand up and support each other when someone's having a hard time, I think that is super important. Like on our team, I'm not just building this team that I am so that I can have time freedom. I truly am not. Like,
Sure,
yes, I
right.
want that. I am also giving other young families that have young kids like that same thing, giving someone whose daughter, moved away and is in college and she wants to be able to go visit and be there. Like, we're giving all each other the gift of support and time freedom.
Right.
And I think like that is of highest priority to me. The money's kind of an afterthought.
Yeah, we just talked about this on our team, in our one of our team meetings about, like, communi communicating, but communicating your schedule. Like, put your vacation on the calendar if you know it, right? So that we
Mhm.
all know, not that people can't vacation at the same time, but it does make you think like, "Okay, well, if Cheryl's gone that week and I can move my time to a like, I wanna be able to make sure I can support her so that then she can also support me while I'm gone."
Right.
And, like, when you're in a group, like, there's 5 of us, right? 6, but 5 really right now on the team, and so it's like, okay, between the 5 of us, like, how can we all help each other and support each other in these different ways? And I think, real estate is a whole different beast. It's a very different field than a lot of other industries, but I think so much of this applies to any other type of team or workplace or whatever, right? Like, it's the communication, it's the quote unquote culture, which is so intangible. Like, when people talk about culture, like, what does that mean? And I think Susie's really good at this about defining those things. And she was like, you have to have that written down. So, like, I went and wrote down my 11 Maverick Group culture code points, right? Like,
Mhm.
what are those things? And then you have the agreed upon code, and then so everybody kind of knows what to expect. Like, one of the things that in our culture code it talks about, like, being everyone is their own CEO, right? Like,
Mhm.
we're all going to help each other, but you got
Own
to
your business.
own your own business, right? Like, we're all 1099 employees here. Like, we're in a group and a team to help support each other, but I can't want it more than you. And
Right.
that's actually really hard for me, to be honest. I want the agents on my team to succeed so hard, but I also have to know that they might not want it as hard as I want it for them, right? Like,
Right.
everybody has their own goals. Everybody has their own, like, I think I've told this story before. I talked to an agent one time and she's like, I sell 12 million a year and that's good for me. I don't want to sell any more than that. And I've said this before, like, my brain explodes when I hear that because I never want to cap myself, right? But for her, that was it. She was
Right.
very happy and content with that, and it wasn't a problem. She wasn't stressed, whatever. And I have to realize as a leader that there are probably people on my team that will feel that way also, and that's
Mhm.
okay. But
Well,
how do I support them?
when I worked for somebody else, when I was in the insurance, like I was totally content to get to the incentive award and then
Be
coast.
done. Yeah.
It was enough money. I was not going to have management on my back because I hit their goal. It was like, okay, that's fine. Also, like in those years where that was happening, there was so much going on in my personal life that truly was all I had the capacity for.
Yeah.
And also, Alex was bringing in a consistent income. So it was okay and comfortable for us to do that. And really, what it comes down to is I had different priorities at that time than I
Right.
do right now.
Sure.
And that's like the person that's making $12 million, her priority is making enough money to sustain her life and then having time probably and
Yeah.
freedom and
Yeah.
less stress or whatever it might be that's like
Whatever it
she's
was.
using. Yeah, like 12 million is fine. I can pay my bills. I can
It's a
get by.
great
That,
Yeah.
yeah. And as a business owner, like I do think we should all have that like minimum threshold of where we need to minimally be to keep the doors open. whatever the
Yeah.
business is, whatever your department is that you manage, whatever that is, like we need to know what our bare minimum is of income, just because that's just good information. It's just managing your
Right.
money,
Just
and
good information.
it's
That's
just
good
good
business
to know.
practice. How much do
What
you need to
are
pay your bills? Good to know. But
good
that
to know.
constantly changes. And I think that is, we talk about Dan Sullivan a lot in the books that he writes. Actually, he doesn't write them. He has somebody else write them, which is like
He
on
outsources it, you guys.
honestly is so goals. I'm like,
Brilliant.
I want to be Dan Sullivan when I grow up. But he talks a lot about, right, like finding the person who can do the thing better than you, even better than you, right? Like
Right.
finding the person who can do the thing you want them to do so that you don't have to do it. But
Right.
we talk a lot about this, but giving them the guidelines and the expectation on what needs to be delivered, and giving them the autonomy to do that. I think this is where leaders or people who are trying to be leaders struggle. They want to micromanage everything. And listen, sometimes I am very guilty of this. And I think you kind of have to start a little bit with some people, like when you're training, right? It's not a micromanage, but it is. But it's like I want to be on every email because I want to see how this is all going down so I can jump in and help if needed, right?
Let
Or like,
let's reframe that to just support and training,
yeah, sure. That's just
especially in
training.
the beginning.
Yeah.
And then also we've talked about with Susie too, just like the peace of mind of me being CC'd on that email. And actually maybe we haven't even talked about it on the podcast. Maybe it was at CMC, but like just I need to be CC'd on an email so that I can rest.
Yeah. So that my brain
Assured.
knows what's going on.
Like I need to see the box ticked. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
But I think that autonomy piece is really, really important. And I think when you're giving something off to somebody else to do for you, basically for your benefit, it's also for them. They get benefits, they're getting paid, whatever it is, right? But you have to be able to give them a clear enough picture of what is needed and then let them do it.
Right. Okay. So this brings us to the clarity of vision. So not only the clarity of vision for your team, but the clarity of vision for each potential project that they may be working on or client they may be handling, or even when you're talking about the person making the phone call and not knowing what to say.
Right.
Being prepared to give the goal up front, I think is very, very important to really giving your team members autonomy or your employees autonomy. It's the like, even so for the phone call, like, okay, let's say you're calling all of your A clients. So for instance, someone not in real estate, that might be like all your VIP clients, people that have worked with you, people that refer to you, people that if they didn't work with
Friends,
you,
yeah.
you'd be pissed. Like you would tell them personal information about your life. Those are your A's. Okay, we're going to call all our A's today. And our goal is to just offer value. And the value we're offering right now is we have a window washer and a solar power washer that is willing to offer you just like a 10% discount if you book before the end of the year. Like we're not soliciting business for them. We just want you to know, like we found out about this coupon and we want you to know it's there. And like, don't forget, we have all these very great resources for you. Like that's a very real estate thing to do is make those calls.
Right.
But the way I deliver that message and the way Colleen delivers that message, totally okay for those messages to be different, but we do have the same goal. And the goal is the client feels that we are giving them an opportunity and just providing value in their life. Like that is the goal. So giving that goal as the framework. So like, I think whenever you give someone a task or someone on your team, like you just need to be clear with your vision. The vision is this is our goal. This is the outcome, the desired outcome we want. This is the timeline that we want that outcome in. These are specific parameters that are very important to the team if those exist. Now go and make it yours.
Just do it.
But you do have to have that clarity up front of like, this is the goal. This is the time frame. At minimum, you need those two things. And then if anything is like, I will fucking, my eyes will come out of my head and my head will spin if this isn't done this way, then also give them that information.
Yeah.
And that could be like, you're making me a marketing piece. You're sending out a promotional email. You're making phone calls on the team's behalf. You're doing whatever it is you're doing. I need to, as the leader, make sure the vision is clear, the goal is clear, the timeline is clear, and any specifics are noted up front. Like that preparation is worth $1 in what you'll get in your outcome from whoever is on your team. And then letting and make it theirs in whatever way they want to make it.
Yeah. And as you're talking about this, we talked before a lot about like emotional leadership. And there's so much of that, not only with people who you might be leading, but also with clients, right? Like this is something I was thinking of this when you were talking about like basically there's a lot of coaching and leadership that goes into sales when you're working with clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially in real estate for us, right? We talk a lot about with my clients, like, well, what's our end goal here, right? Because things like inspections and appraisals and whatever can get really messy. So I think it's also when you're working with clients, if you're, and this is a leadership thing, even if you're not quote unquote running a team or you're not like an executive or whatever, but if you have a business and you're dealing with people, which you probably are, like what's the end game here? Like I'll talk through my clients and say like, okay, you want this house. This is the house that you want. So the end game is that you want to get this house. Okay. So we talk about if that's the end game, at what cost, right? Like, are you willing to, here's just an example. And I never make my clients pay more than they want, but I also want them to understand like we were putting an offer on something and for example, say the house was listed for 625 and they really wanted this house. It had just come on the market. Right now, the market's weird here. Houses either sit for 30 days or they fly the first day. And you just don't know, right? You just don't
Mm-hmm.
know. It's so weird. I have yet to see a pattern, to be honest. So I just said to her, if you really want it, my recommendation would be X, Y, and Z. And she wanted to offer like $5,000 under asking. And I was just like, okay, well, explain to me like what, because she was getting a loan. It's different when you're offering cash, you're getting a loan. I was like, well, explain that to me, like, because $5,000 in a loan is the difference of like $30 per month, for instance, right? In the
Mm-hmm.
payment of whatever, in your monthly payment. So are you willing to lose the house for that?
For
And
$30
sometimes
a month.
for
Yeah.
$30 a month. And the answer sometimes is yes, right? Sometimes
Right.
that is yes.
And that's
And
fine.
and that's fine. But it's also like sometimes people get so emotionally caught up in this idea of like, well, I want to get a good deal or I want to screw the other person or I'm getting screwed or X, Y, and Z. And it's our job as like emotional leaders to be like, okay, well, let's take a step back here. Like, what's our actual end game here? Right? Like, what are we
Mm-hmm.
trying to achieve? And remembering to put that in the forefront always and at what cost? Not always financially, but you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and where are we willing to negotiate? Where do we have to stop? Where are our hard stops? And really understanding how to guide and how to coach and how to lead that client because that's what you're getting paid to do, right? Like
Right.
that's your job. And I think in this in the spirit of transitioning from July into August in the themes that we're talking about, this emotional leadership also bleeds right into home life as well, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I'm really trying to work on and I'm really trying to have David work on too is like, we are the emotional leaders for our kids. If we have a shitty day at work, we can't come home and be shitty. You just can't. That's not their fault. It's not their fault you had a
Right.
shitty day. And
And
that
if you
is like,
do, that's what you're teaching them to do, which like they're
right.
looking to us, like they're not listening to us. I just saw this on Instagram. They're not listening to us. They're watching us and they're
Mm-hmm.
observing us. And
Yep.
so I can coach and teach and dictate and lecture my children
Mm-hmm.
all day long, but what they're learning is from my actions.
That's it for this week. Come back next week for part 2.
That's a wrap. Thank you for joining us on this journey of laughter, life, and growth.
And remember, you're not alone on this path to success. We're right here with you every step of the way.
Please remember to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you found value in today's conversation, we'd be thrilled if you would leave us a review on your favorite platform. Your feedback means the world to us.
And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, family, and anyone who could use a good laugh and some practical insight into navigating the challenges and triumphs of our minds, body, soul, and business.
Remember, we're doing this right.